vote less than a year away. Primaries 2 months from now, just about. Okay. So things are really coming up fast. Now, a bunch of stuff happened over the last few days, which is being misreported, misanalyzed. So I'm going to walk through this. The Democratic Party, like the Republican Party, really doesn't have a formal leader. All right, Nancy Pelosi was, but she's not the House Speaker anymore. So it's kind of but there is a leader, and I'm going to tell you in a moment who that is. But signals are starting to be sent through the media about President Biden. So Biden is what the cliche goes, all in to support Israel and condemn Hamas, even though Biden is so befuddled. It's a ceasefire now. It's maybe this, it's that. Who knows what he's going to say the next hour. But Obama's sending a message here that we shouldn't be 100% for Israel. That's the message. And Biden is, at this point, might back away. So the signals are being sent. Joe Biden now is controversial in his own party. Okay? And he's going to get more controversial because today, David Weiss, a special counsel in Delaware involved with the Hunter Biden case, testified closed door in front of the House Judiciary Committee. That's Jim Jordan. And tomorrow we'll analyze it because I don't have the stuff yet. Remember, when stuff leaks out, which it will, on Weiss, I got to check it. I can't just run it like everybody else does. I don't do that. So I gotta check stuff that comes out before I put it on the air. I'm sorry, that's just old school journalism. But I'll have it for you tomorrow. We'll know what Weiss said, at least some of it. All right, so summing up, the impeachment might come next. Certainly Comer and the other committee head and the Republican side wants that. He's not going to get thrown out, but it'll be a revenge for the Trump impeachment. And I still stand by my prediction that Biden's not going to be on the 24 presidential ballot. But of course, it's just a prediction. My feelings toward President Biden have hardened over the last year, and I really don't like him. I don't know him that well as a person. I've run into a couple of times, and he was fine. But what he's doing to the country, to me, is now reached critical mass. And I was trying to pinpoint in my own mind what annoys me about him so much. Because I've been doing this now for a while. And I know who the presidents are and what they espouse. And I disagree with a lot of it. But I haven't been this down on a president ever. Now, when I came in and interviewed Jimmy Carter, and it was a long time ago, and I was a hard news reporter then, not an analyst. But Biden, to me now, has reached a point in my mind where he's doing active harm every day to all of us, all Americans. I believe, and I could be wrong, that Joe Biden does not care about solving any problems. He's there. He likes the perks. Certainly his wife does. They like the leisurely schedule he has. They like the extravagant surroundings. They like all that. But does Biden really want to solve problems and make things better? He does not, because he's not even trying. So it's like you were a football coach and you had one of your top players just say, I'm not even going to try. You wouldn't like that very much. And that's where I am. So let me back it up, okay? I have an acquaintance who earlier in October, his daughter died from fentanyl, mid-20s, 3-year-old daughter, his granddaughter. Now he has custody of the granddaughter. So imagine, I have a daughter around that age. If she goes out on fentanyl, I don't know how you recover from that. So we all know that there is a record amount of narcotics coming across the open border. I mean, I'll just give you one stat because you already know this, and it's not two sides to the story. So according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, fentanyl seizures have increased more than 800% under Biden. It's poison that's coming in. Now, has the federal government done anything to stop that? No. Nothing. No extra people on the border, no border fence, nothing. Federal government continues to allow millions of people to come into the United States and request asylum. What this does is the border protection people have to adjudicate them. They have to take them in, process them, give them their cell phone free, their travel voucher, whatever it may be. This takes away from interdicting narcotics. That's why there's a record number of narcotics flowing in. The cartels know this. The drug Mexican cartels, they know this. So they flood the zone with human beings knowing that the border protection people are overwhelmed. Now, Biden doesn't care. If he did, all he has to do is sign an executive order today that says the United States is not going to process any more asylum claims for a year until we can sort this out. You can do that, as Barack Obama once said, stroke of a pen. And Obama was tough on the border. Under Obama, there were more migrants deported than any other president in history. Did you know that? So Biden doesn't care. He's not going to stop it. And you can assign a reason, any reason you want. Okay? The far left wants an open border. This is the George Soros crew. And they're the main source of revenue for the Democratic Party now and Biden. But he's not going to go up against that. That's what I believe is happening. But even apart from that, does Biden care about this? Even though his son is a drug addict. All right, Hunter Biden, the drug addict. Biden is strangely detached from this. I'm not. So when I heard my acquaintance tell me what happened to his daughter, I mean, you sit there and go, is this America? Where fentanyl dealers aren't even held on bail? Just let them out. Where anybody can come across the border? Where cartels make billions of dollars smuggling narcotics into the United States? They laugh at us. They laugh at us because we're so weak. And this is Joe Biden. Look, as the Democrats, have Biden, Congress cut anything, any spending at all in 3 years? Not a penny. Joe Biden is the biggest spending president in our history. In our history. I'll just give it one stat. I'm going to keep it simple here. In 8 years, Barack Obama, second biggest spender, $8.3 trillion added to the national debt in 8 years. Under Biden, 3 years, $6 trillion and more. Every day he comes in, wants to give more money. Let me just give you another stat. So you hear a little about windmill energy, right? Wind energy. So the government is in under Biden for about $1.5 billion in funds for the wind technology. That's a lot of money. Only 2 wind projects are operational that give any substantial energy to anybody. 2. Where I live on Long Island, they built a ton of windmills out in the Atlantic. Most of them don't work. All right, so you pour in money into this green stuff, massive amount of money. It's not going to work. This wind stuff is not going to work. The government waste of our tax dollars is astronomical. Biden care? No, he does not. Now, Biden doesn't know, but doesn't care what this massive spending will lead to. He doesn't know. He's not smart enough to know. But he'll be dead by the time it kicks in. All right. And I don't say that with any malice. Man's 80 years old. And the U.S. dollar is not going to collapse overnight, but it will collapse. You can't sustain a $35 trillion debt and rising. Can't. All right. The government's going to run out of money. Already, it's having trouble selling bonds to overseas investors already. And the rate now is above 5%. They have to keep increasing the rate to get people to buy them, buy the paper. So this is macroeconomics, and Biden has no clue about this at all. And his eyes would glaze over. He'd probably take a nap. But he doesn't care. So when you reach that point where you have a president of the United States that simply does not care about solving problems, then you're in a desperate situation. Now, this has happened 2 other times in our history for you, because you know I combine journalism and history. The first time was a series of presidents before Abraham Lincoln, the worst being James Buchanan. The South had decided very early on, about 10 years before the Civil War began, it had had it. Didn't want to be part of the Union any longer. The movement was led by a guy named John C. Calhoun of South Carolina. So it, little by little, defied the federal government. And Buchanan, 4 years, did nothing. Everybody knew the end game was South is going to say, we don't want to be part of the United States anymore, we're going to set up our own country. Buchanan had to know it. He did not one thing to stop it, even though there was violence against federal inspectors, federal post office people, military depots. Buchanan sat there. He did not care. And after he left, he blamed it all on Congress, just like the Biden administration is blaming the border on Congress. Exactly the same thing. When you hear Jean-Pierre and all these people, oh, Congress won't pass immigration law. It's Congress, yeah. Mayorkas, Congress. That's what Buchanan did. Hey, Congress, I don't blame me. And Lincoln walks in, and there's a civil war. Okay, the second man was Herbert Hoover, 1929. All right, so the economy collapses. A third of the American workforce loses their jobs. Many people lost their entire fortunes because 50% of the banks closed, and there was no insurance. You just lost your money. All right, and Hoover sat there and did nothing. He went, we're not going to help because you got to be self-reliant. And, Hoovervilles, people lining up for food, living outside. Where's Herbert? He's living large. Herbert was living real large in a White House. And then after they booted him out and FDR came in, he lived at the Waldorf Astoria in New York, Herbert Hoover. What a guy, huh? Neither Hoover nor Buchanan cared at all about the American people, what was going on. Biden's in that category. Biden's worse than Hoover. He's not as bad as Buchanan. So a Freedom of Information lawsuit was filed against the National Archives and Records Administration. They store all of government documents that are of any importance, okay? They did not want to hand over Vice President Biden's emails. So the Southeastern Legal Foundation, a conservative nonprofit public interest law firm based in Marietta, Georgia, outside of Atlanta, they sued and they won. So the National Archives had to turn over 82,000 pages of emails. They have not been read. I guess maybe somebody did, but we don't know, has made public what's inside the 82,000 of emails. What we do know is that as vice president, Joe Biden used 3 pseudonym name accounts. That means a phony name on 3 accounts. Now, before you jump and speculate, there may be a rational explanation for this. Privacy, I don't know. But I'm not going to speculate in this report. I'm going to tell you what's happening because the other media outlets will not. So it's my job to do this. All right, so we got 82,000 emails under phony names for Joe Biden. Remember, Hillary Clinton had 52,000 government emails on a private server. nothing happened to her. Now, some believe the fix was in there. I do, certainly do. And I believe that the fix was in for Joe Biden, too, because they had to sue the National Archives to get the 82,000 out. Okay, so now, and all of these emails that were sent by Joe Biden were sent in the 8 years he was vice president. So he was on the clock, on the official duty. I can't take it any further than that right now, but I'm setting it up because sooner or later we're going to know what those emails said, at least some of them. On another point regarding Hunter Biden and his father, Joe, Mr. Biden, Hunter, got $250,000 loan from a Chinese executive during the 2020 election. Okay, so $250,000 comes from China to Hunter Biden. This becomes problematic when his father is elected president because it's a shady loan. How do I know it's shady? Well, Hunter Biden got the money through one of his companies, and then he gave the entire company to a man named Kevin Morris, 58 years old. You may have heard that name. All right. He's the sugar brother to Hunter Biden. Hollywood guy, represented Chris Rock, Matthew McConaughey, and he's done some work in Hollywood. So Hunter Biden transfers the whole company, including the $250,000 debt, to Kevin Morris, who takes it. So that means Hunter Biden doesn't have to pay the money back, and Hunter Biden could have spent the money already. He got the cash, he could have spent it, and Morris has to pay it back to the Chinese guy. That make sense to you? Do you know anybody that would do that for you? I mean, it's $250,000 and a defunct company. Now, Morris has done it before. He's loaned Hunter Biden more than $2 million to pay off federal tax burden. Okay? Now, he can forgive the loan. The tax implications are swirling, but the federal government won't investigate them. I mean, it's startling, but that's the truth. Morris has a private jet, big one. He gave it to Hunter Biden to fly to Arkansas from California for his child custody hearing, where Hunter Biden said he didn't have enough money to pay for his kid. But he came in and out on a private jet. Okay. And finally, Morris has paid Hunter Biden's monthly living expenses in Los Angeles, according to the New York Times. So Morris is in, I don't know, what do you think? 5 million, 7 million on Hunter? Must like Hunter. Now, none of this is good news, but there are two impediments. Number one, the Justice Department, as corrupt as it ever been in this country. There's never been a time in America where the Justice Department of the United States has been this corrupt, ever. And believe me, under U.S. Grant and other presidents, there were some problems. This is the highest point of corruption ever. Because the Democratic Party has set up a system whereby most of the departments are staffed with liberal Democrats who are not going to investigate anything to do with the Bidens. So Congress is doing this, and then independent agencies like the one we mentioned. I'm a simple man. Everybody knows that. And I have a very simple question. So the investigation into the Biden family finances is disrupting America. Would we all agree on that? No matter how you feel about it, it's a disruption. And it costs the taxpayers tens of millions of dollars to do this. And we got 3 House committees devoting their time to it instead of problem solving. It's not good for the country. So if you're the president, I'm the president, and I didn't do anything. I didn't take any money from Hunter or my brother Jim. I didn't know, I this, I that. I just did a couple of favors. When my son asked me to get on the phone or meet with somebody, I just had hi, hello, all casual. If that's true, the way to shut this down in an hour would be to give your banking records to the House Oversight Committee, just two people. Okay, the ranking member, Comer, he's the chairman, and then a ranking member of the Democrat, I forget who that is, in a room with your attorneys, and from the time you were sworn in as vice president till now, you show them your banking records. You show them the deposits. And if there's no money that's coming in from any unexplained place, you're free. Simple, right? It's just simple. And that ends this suspicion, because the suspicion is deep. Okay, so Biden's not doing that, obviously. According to NBC News, he has set up a war room inside the White House, staffed by lawyers and researchers, to fight all of this Biden family finance stuff. So that costs more money. It's more of a distraction. So there's a war room now to Joe Biden, who didn't do anything. You don't need a war room, Joe. You need your lawyers to card over the bank records and let the oversight people see them. They don't have to even get them. All you have to do is let them see them, and they can take notes. That's it. Okay. So the suspicion that we have now is running wild. We have an impeachment inquiry against the President of the United States on these issues. You see how destructive this is? I hope you do, anyway. Joe Biden shouldn't be president of this country. This man has never in his whole life showed any kind of problem-solving ability at all. Hung out with racists in the Senate. He's a bad guy, top to bottom. Awful guy. Barack Obama put him on the ticket as a second because he needed a political hack, Biden, to deal with the Senate. Because Obama didn't want to do it. And that's what Biden did. That's why he was there, because he had been around so long. All right, and then he hid in his basement, and it was all about Trump. More people voted for Biden than Trump, and he's president. And it's the wreckage, one wreckage after another, since he's been in there. Open borders, massive crime, record poverty. It's crazy. Yet the corrupt press props him up because they hate Trump so much. Now, a lot of people have written me, I would say more than 1,000, saying who really runs Joe Biden? Because obviously Biden's not in control of what he's doing or saying. And we tracked it down for you. Here you go. This is why you watch and listen to the No Spin News. Jill Biden is the most powerful person in the country right now. Jill Biden is at Joe Biden's elbow pretty much all the time. It's worse than Nancy Reagan. In Reagan's last years, Nancy was there every second. Nobody got to talk to Ronald Reagan unless Nancy gave it the okay. If you read Killing Reagan, you'll see how that all evolved. Jill Biden is the same exact thing, although it's worse, because Ronald Reagan was cognizant in the last part of his administration. He was going downhill, but he was lucid. Biden is not. Okay, Chief of Staff is Jeff Zients, okay? 56 years old. He succeeded Ron Klain. He was part of the Biden administration's COVID response. Hey, that's a great resume and answer, isn't it? Millionaire businessman, confirmed Democrat, and he donated his way to the top. He is Chief of Staff. Deputy Chief of Staff Jen O'Malley Dillon, 46, Boston, Massachusetts, previously managed Biden's presidential campaign in 2020. She also managed Beto O'Rourke's campaign. Wow. Bruce Reed, White House Deputy Chief of Staff, along with Jen, 63, Boise, Idaho. He was Chief of Staff to Vice President Biden when all of this grifting was going on there. Hey, Bruce, what say you? Okay, so Natalie Quinlan is the White House Deputy Chief of Staff. They have three of them, three Deputy Chiefs of Staff. There's Natalie. Okay, I don't know how old she is, but she was involved with the coronavirus response team. And she's an Obama person. She worked for Obama. So that's one Obama person over there. There's another one. Mike Donilon, assistant to the president, chief strategist of Biden's presidential campaign, 64 years old, Providence, Rhode Island, wealthy man. He has been a Biden apparatchik forever. Probably Biden's best friend. in the White House. And finally, Anita Dunn. This is an Obama person. She served as acting White House communications director under Obama, 65 years old, Bethesda, Maryland. And she is assistant and senior advisor. So those six are making policy. They're telling Joe what to do. So Joe doesn't spend a lot of time in the Oval Office, but they do. They meet every morning. And this is what Joe's going to do. This is what Joe's going to say. This is what the speechwriter is going to put on a paper for him. And they walk it through. Then they run by Jill. And Jill knocks out a lot of stuff. No, it's too, they can't do that. He can't do this. And then when Jill signs off on it, it goes to Joe. Okay, you're going to talk to the rabbis today, Mr. President. Okay, fine, I'll talk to the rabbis. That's how it works. You will get that information nowhere else. I guarantee you. So now you know. If you're BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge members, you can download the transcript and have it there and know who is really running this country.